Welcome back to another weekly GMBN Tech Show. Coming up on this week's show, we check out that brand new Nukeproof downhill bike. Ohlins finally have their production downhill fork available. I've got some pretty cool new wheels for my bike, which I'm going to show you. And also, we've got a really special rewind entry. So first up, let's jump straight into news, and I want to look at some of the new Nolly 2019 range, in particular the Fugitive, which is their 29er trail bike. Now it's available in two different guises, one with 120mm and a 140mm fork up front, and the other with a 135 out back and between 150 and 160 up front. Now on screen now is the shorter travel version. Like I said, it's got 120 out back, 140 up front. It's available in 4 sizes and it's got some really good geometry to those 4 sizes. There's 3 different specs. There's the SL, the DP and the VP. So the SL is the Supreme Leader, the DP is Dawn Patrol, and a VP is Vice President. Some pretty unusual names there, but let's look at some of the geometry. So the chainstay length on all 4 bikes is 430.5mm. So the seat angle varies from 76 to 75.5 degrees, and the head angle from 66.5 to 65.75. So that's pretty slack for a short travel 29er. I think that thing is going to handle really well. Now out back it's got the 157mm axle, that super boost, and the reaches on the bikes vary from 421 on the extra small all the way through to 500 on the extra large. I think it's a really good sorted bike. I'd love to know what you all think of this sort of short mid-travel 29er bikes. Let us know in the comments below this video. Do you think that's enough travel? Do you think it's too much? Would you rather ride a 27.5? Let us know below. Finally, the YT 29er race bike that we saw Aaron Gwyn racing a prototype of, and of course Angel Suarez racing at the Urban Downhill the other week, which Neil did a bike check on. It's available at last. It's up on the site. Of course, you can click the 27.5 if you'd rather the smaller wheel size, or the new bigger 29. Now this is it on screen. It looks phenomenal, really clean looking. I'm loving the black and white. I think that's really sleek. Now the geometry, this is something that really excites me. So it's especially long for a downhill bike. Now there's a lot of long downhill bikes out there these days. It's like that Intense, of course, but this is a proper big boy, and it's got a really low bottom bracket as well. So it's going to feel incredibly stable and you're going to really feel like you're in that bike. Now it's available in regular, long and extra long. So the reach on the regular is 460, on the long is 480, and on the extra long is 505. We're talking trail bike length with a downhill bike. Like at last, I would absolutely love to have a ride on one of those in that extra large size. I bet that thing just feels incredible. Now it's got all the other same features you expect on a 2S. It's got really nice progressive back end on there and the regular stable geometry of it. Just have a look at a few more shots of this thing. It's absolutely stunning. Up front, it's a 63.5 degree head angle. You've got a 73 degree seat angle, which doesn't really affect things too much on a downhill bike. It's not like you're going to be climbing it. Out back, you've got a 440mm chainstay length. So whilst it is long enough to give it a bit of stability, it's also short enough to make it feel agile and twitchy where it needs to be. Really sweet looking bike that. And of course, because it's part of the YT range, you know it's going to be great value as well. And there's various different spec options. Now Ohlins at last, we've seen teasers before, they've got the DH38 twin crown downhill fork available. Now this is it on screen. It's got 38mm stanchions. It's got between 160 and 200mm of travel, fully adjustable, and it uses their TTX technology in there. So it has the Total Tune spring curve system, which means it's very soft and supple from the off, but fully adjustable from the off all the way to how progressive it feels. It's a very adjustable system. Now on the inside, when it comes to damping, there is a lot of control available to you. It says 15 clicks of low speed compression and 5 clicks of high speed compression. I like the fact it's only got 5 clicks of high speed, because that means, to me at least, it's very refined, and you could probably notice quite a big difference between those settings, and we do know that Ohlins stuff generally does feel very good. Now it comes as standard with SKF low friction seals on there, so I bet this thing feels incredible. You could ride over a granny, I reckon, on one of these, and you wouldn't feel the tins of cat food. Now offset, there's various options available. There's 46, 50, 54 and 58mm options there, and it's compatible with 29ers and 27.5 inch wheels. Of course, you can pick the different offset to suit what you're going to ride the most. Now they call it fender prepared, means you can fit a mudguard on there, and it's got a race proven setting bank. Interesting, but I just think it's a killer looking fork, and it's Ohlins, isn't it? How cool is that? Industry 9, makers of some of the trickiest wheels on the market, have just come out with a couple of new hubs. There's the 101 and the Hydra. Now first up, I want to mention the Hydra. This is it on screen. As with all Industry 9 equipment, it looks absolutely stunning. The finish is first rate, they're fully serviceable. Every individual component can be stripped down on them. The thing that's absolutely insane about this is it has 690 points of engagement and 0.52 degrees between engagements. That is insane. That is virtually instant. I have no idea how that would feel. Just to put that into perspective, the latest Shimano XTR Silence Hub has 7.6 degrees between engagements. Like, that is honestly instant. Like, I can't imagine what that feels like. And even if you need it to be that sort of instant. So I was chatting actually to Scott Sharples about this. Now Scott now works over at Mavic, but back in the day he ran the Aussie downhill team. He also worked on the Olympic BMX program. And we've talked a lot about hubs and the engagement on them. Scott has a bit of a theory that the human anatomy actually needs a bit of free float in order for our own sort of calibration. He wonders if being too instant can actually be disruptive because there's too much going on the whole time. Interesting all the same. I don't know how you would prove that, but it definitely kind of makes sense to me. I've noticed when I've ridden hubs before that have an insanely fast pickup, it's caught me out, but I'm sure you can get used to it, and I bet these things sound amazing. And this one on the screen is actually one I'm a little bit more interested in, just because of the fact it's a little bit cheaper. This is the 101. Now again, it looks similar at a glance. It has that same amazing build quality that Industry 9 are renowned for. It retails from $289 in US dollars. It's got a dual phase pull drive mechanism out back with 90 points of engagement and 4 degrees engagement there. So it's a 6-pull driver and has 45 teeth driving that. The 109 is a bit more of a no-nonsense approach, kind of a fit and forget product really, and I think that is going to be really, really key in their range. And lastly, got some eye candy for you. This is Adam Brayton's brand new Nukeproof Descent downhill bike. So this is the bike that we saw a prototype of. In fact, Sam Hill raced at Garbanzo last year at Crankworks and put in an astonishing time on it. A prototype of this bike. Check out how badass this thing looks. It looks absolutely amazing. It's a bespoke bike built for Adam Brayton by his other sponsor, Hope, and it's absolutely dripping in Hope Tech stuff. It's customized with Brayton's Gaster flat and Kestrel on the brake levers, all the sort of stuff all over the bike, and some beautiful images here by Rue Fowler. Absolutely lovely piece of kit, that. And now it's time for Bike Cave. This is where we look at where you keep your bikes, where you maintain your bikes. Could be somewhere like this behind me right here, or it could be a garden shed. Honestly, it doesn't matter as long as it's yours and it has your bikes in it. That's what we love seeing here at GMBN Tech. Take some photos, tell us where it is, use our uploader service there. There's a link at the bottom of the page, super easy to use, and we'll put you on the show next week. First up this week is from Andy in Cumbria. Now, already in his first image, there's plenty to make me smile here. I can see stenciled, or it could be a sticker, an original Yeti style graphic on the back there. That's very cool. It looks like it's an old Proflex frame, just hanging on the wall. And more importantly, there's a Marin Team FRS up at the back there, which has got the old Manitou suspension forks as the back end of the bike. Man, even in one picture, I'm just like blown away. Super cool. So Andy says, currently riding an orange sub 5 Patriot, a Planet X full carbon racer, and this is where I tinker on my bike and ride them at weekends. Dude, like straight out, first picture looks amazing. Nice workbench at the back. Got your pegboard. Your tools aren't very straight. I'm sure Martin would have a word about that, but at the end of the day, it looks like it's somewhere that's very well used, so that's far more important. Nice looking hardtail down there. Super bright and orange. Man, you've got everything crammed in there. You've got a pipe cutter at the back. Nice. Plenty going on. Nice helmet hanging up on the back there too. Is that a Ryobi drill? I can't tell. It's green, so it looks like Ryobi. All sorts of good stuff going on in there. Nice jerry can there. Is that one of those ones that you flip it open? There's a bar inside. I do hope so. I think we need one of those on our set. We could definitely do with one. What would you have, Dan? Would you have gin and tonic, or would you have the whiskey one, or
tequila?
Tequila. Oh, I'm not sure I could deal with that one. Back to the orange. Nice. Oh, dude, so much good stuff going on here. Oh, look at those old Shimano DX SPDs as well. Classics, they are, the downhill ones. Remember the shoes that came with those? Back in the day, they had a big white sole. Looks like a pair of skate trainers from the 90s. Kind of cool, but also weird. Oh, and we got a video entry. So this one is from Dennis in Memphis, Tennessee. I'll tell you what, you got a wicked workshop here. So I'm just going to read out some of Dennis's words here. In June '98, I bought a Specialized rock hopper shortly after my retirement from the Navy. Thought spending hundreds of dollars on a bike was very foreign to me at the time. Having quit smoking, I was leaving the Navy and now living in Memphis. I was riding a Roadmaster as part of a lifestyle change. Spring forward 21 years, now XC riding, hardtails, single speeds, the whole lot ever since. Dude, that is an awesome story. I'm 62 and a plusher ride appeals to me. I worked on my own bike since I bought that first Roadmaster, so my cave is a collection of 20 years of accumulation. Hope you enjoy the tour. You do a great job, Doddy. You're a top shelf resource along with Sheldon Brown. Oh, thank you so much for sending that in, Dennis, and I really appreciate your comment, although Sheldon Brown, he was the god. Oh, you guys are killing it with the bike caves at the moment. Got another amazing looking place popped up here. So this one's from Paul in Detroit. Okay, so current bike is a Santa Cruz Hightower, but I'm seeing far more than just that in there. Look at that Klein Mantra up the back there. Wow. I'm amazed that's still in one piece. Looks great up there, I tell you. Rubber flooring down there. Well, you've got Santa Cruz Hightower there. What is that hardtail? That is beautiful. Just going to read out some of your words, Paul. My name is Paul and wanted to share with you my best friend Sona's bike cave. Sona's been riding bikes for over 25 years and has competed in many events across the US and has ridden all over the world. This is her current bike cave. Although limited by space, she manages to build and maintain some amazing bikes. Oh, dude, I can see that. Wow. Some of her current bikes include a 2016 Santa Cruz Hightower CC with many upgrades on there, including MRP ramp control on that 160mm pike, custom damping setup, the list goes on. Also, there's a budget offshore carbon fibre frame at the back there with modern geometry, 29-inch wheels. That is that one that's Yeti blue. That is banging looking bike. There's also a Navara Kamara 5D road bike for training and a state bicycle single speed road bike. Some of the tools on display include Park Tools PRS2, a full selection of various tools, bleed kits, and pretty much anything to do with her bikes, she has it. Tell you what a cool setup in there. Really nice to see all that stuff. And clearly everything is very loved as well. Some snowboards down the back as well. I absolutely love it. And I love that backboard with loads of sort of graffiti and stuff on there. I bet there's some cool stories amongst some of the comments written on there. Loving the selection. Thank you so much for sending those in. Keep them coming in. Please take some photos of your bike caves and tell us all about them. All right, now it's time for Rewind, where we get to check out some old school mountain bike tech. If you've got anything old at all, could be some photos of yourselves in an old retro race, or perhaps an older relative of yours or a friend. Anything at all, old bikes, old kit, especially tech stuff, we love it. Send it into the upload link right there on the screen. This week, check this one on the screen. So this is from Jack in Minnesota, who was browsing through Craigslist and found this bad boy. This is an old Scott Octane. I don't know the exact year of this one, but it's got the Mr. Dirt twin crown inverted suspension fork in it, coil and oil in there. It's got IRC tyre up on the front, and it's got the ironically named Azonic Shorty stem, but that stem to me looks like it's about 120mm, which on a downhill bike is just pure comedy value to even consider having that on there. Syncross cranks on there. I think that's that 3-piece design that they used to have with the Shimano DX SPD pedals. A saddle that's, well, it's basically like a sofa for two. Look at the size of that thing, absolutely massive. And then the back end of the bike was just bonkers. The adjustability on these things, the shock positions, you could adjust head angle, BB height, the shock rate. There's so much that you could do on these bikes, but they were pretty disgusting. Out back as well, if you look closer, you can see a Bullet Brothers chain tensioner, and I've just seen some other photos that have come into the inbox here, so I'm going to go to those in a second. So you've got Ori grips on there, and it's also got early samples of Hope brakes on there, and I think they are the open brakes. They did open and closed ones. My mistake, actually, they're the closed ones. They've got the dials on the top of the pistons, so when they pumped up, you could actually adjust that. The open system came later with no adjustability, but it allowed the air basically to move through them. Look at the back end, so it's got an SUP Mavic wheel set on there. Oh, you can see the adjustability of the length of the chainstay there. You imagine that, just being able to undo a bolt and change the chainstay length. They are Hope Big 'Un hubs. In fact, are they Big 'Uns or bulbs? No, they're Big 'Uns. The huge hubs they used to have back in the day with their own dedicated disc rotors on there. And it looks like a Mr. Dirt front hub too. Do you know what? It's kind of ugly, but kind of cool, because in that era, it was such an exciting time in mountain biking where new stuff was just coming out seemingly every month. Every bike brand had a new bike or a new bit of technology, a new pivot point, a new shock absorber, a new suspension platform. Incredible to think that really in such a short time we've got to where we are now. And that's all thanks to borrowing stuff from other sports. I think that's one of the key parts of the growth of mountain biking. And actually I think that's something we should do for a feature on GMBN Tech actually, and just look at how fast this actual innovation is growing. So I think if you don't know these stories, you'll be quite surprised that even just like 10 years back what we were riding and how bad some of that stuff was by comparison to what we have today. But anyway, I digress. Next up is from Daryl he hasn't said where he is, he just says in his bike cave. As good a place as any to send a picture in. And this is a Bullet Brothers chain tensioner. So way back in the day when we used to have big old baggy chains and huge chain rings up front, we used to have an abundance of chain. It used to flap around all over the place. And everyone was coming out with different chain guides and chain retention devices, anything possible to stop the chain coming off. Bear in mind, this is a long time before the one-by system and clutch derailleurs. And Bullet Brothers effectively came up with something that worked like a clutch. You'd secure it to your bike with the nut of your quick release axle, which in itself is hilarious. And it extends off the back of the bike and has a giant spring on it. There was two, there was an XC one and a downhill spring, and it locked onto the cage of your rear derailleur, essentially pulling it tight, kind of like the clutch does today. So you could say it was an early version of a clutch. Now they were amazing, but I do seem to remember with the downhill spring, you needed thumbs of steel to change gear because you had to fight that spring in order to actually change gear, but they did work really well and they made your bike incredibly silent. Cool piece of tech, and essentially that is a Mark 1 clutch, if you think about that. And nice workbench by the way too. Thanks for sending that in. Okay, top mods this week, a little bit self-indulgent because it's actually a set of wheels have turned up for me. It's actually not what I was expecting. These are far better. So these are the XMC 1200s. They're carbon fibre with a 30mm rim. Now this is the all-mountain wheel, but we've seen these on Nino Schurter's XC race bike. That's how light they are. They're absolutely insane. But what I've noticed, I can't fit them just yet because these are actually equipped with the microspline system designed for that new XCR 12-speed hub. So I'm going to need to make a little modification to these myself. I'm going to put an XD driver on there because I'm actually going to fit a SRAM 12-speed cassette onto these and get that onto my Nukeproof, which is currently 11-speed Shimano. Going to be making a few alterations to that bike. Now, as you might know, I've referenced it a few times, that 29er Mega I've got in the XL is a big old bike. Rides fantastically when you've got the space to open it up on some rough terrain, but a little less so for my local stuff, which is a bit tight and twisty, and there's a lot of short, sharp climbs, so I'm trying to reduce some of that rotating weight. So I actually want to do some experimentation with some different wheels to see how much difference can be had, because I had a very interesting conversation at Core Bike Show a couple of weeks ago with the guys from Fox UK. Now, they were convinced that I didn't need to do anything to the bike except try some much lighter wheels. So basically taking their advice, I'm giving this a try. So these are just a loaner set of wheels. So I'm going to see how these go and see if it's actually a worthy upgrade on a bike like that. And now just while we're here and I'm talking about that bike, I just wanted to show you a couple of cool clips. Now, I recently made the video on setting that bike up for urban riding, the sort of day-to-day commuting that I do on the bike and throwing it down a few flights of stairs. And one of the things I accentuated in that video was adding quite a lot of compression damping to really keep the bike up. And actually there's a super rough flight of stairs as part of that. And I have noticed that when I run that with my suspension on normal settings, I'm using nearly all of the travel. Now look at this super slow-mo and watch how much the bike actually stands up. Don't get me wrong, it feels quite rough like this, but actually I think it handles quicker over the steps like this. Just this cool bit of footage just to see the suspension really doing its thing. Now that full video actually drops on GMBN next week, so have to keep an eye out for that one and let us know what you think when you see it. And that's the exact sort of setup we did with Blake's bike for the Valparaiso downhill race that he did. Of course, him and Neil were out on their trip out in Patagonia and Chile doing some incredible riding, in particular that urban stuff. So that went up at the weekend, so be sure to check that out. I'm going to be throwing that at the end of the show, so make sure you click on that link. Now, Tech of the Week, I actually wanted to talk about a very specific product. So this is made by Works and it's a hydrojet. So this is effectively a mobile jet wash, but we're not talking like the Moby washers or any other portable ones. This is a genuinely powerful jet wash that you can use to clean your bike on location or at home equally as well. Now, I've got one of these. I've finally bit the bullet and paid out some of my hard-earned cash for one of these because I just think it's a fantastic bit of kit and I just wanted to share that with you. Essentially, it's a jet wash system. It comes with two different length wands, I guess you would call them, and on the end it's got an adjustable nozzle system so you can change it from a fine mist all the way through to a nearly cutting spray. Of course, that's not the one you want to be using on a bike near your seals or anything like that. I actually use mine on more of a mist and it's actually still really powerful. As you can see here, plenty powerful to get all the mud from a typical weekend's riding, on my local trails at least, off the bike. Now, the thing that's especially good about this is it doesn't run off mains power. It uses a drill battery. It comes with a battery and it's compatible with other ones for their range. It comes with its own charger, and the other super cool thing is it comes with its own hose that has a filter on the end. That means you can run it off any water source, so it could be out of a bucket of water, could even be out of a stream if you're near one, just to hose your bike down with. But also the attachment on the base of this means you can attach a regular hose pipe to it, which I'm doing here in my garden. But also you can literally use the thing anywhere. So you can charge it up, take a bucket with you, or even take one of those 5 litre bottles of water that you can get from supermarkets. And of course you can refill those when you get home, put the lid on, chuck it in your boot, and it means you can properly wash your bike anywhere. Fantastic bit of kit. And there we go, another weekly GMBN Tech Show in the bag. For a couple more cool videos, click down here if you want to see Blake's bike check from Valparaiso. That poor bike, the amount of abuse it must have had to endure with him on it on that course. Insane. And of course, winter's not over yet. So if you want some winter hacks and tech tips for your biking kit, click down there. As always, give us a huge thumbs up if you love GMBN Tech. And if you've got any suggestions, let us know in those comments. We want to make videos that you want to watch. And don't forget to click, share and subscribe.